Hi, this video just covers Microsoft Excel Unit 2 in your worksheet. There are 24 tasks in total and we're just going to run through them one by one. Excel is useful software that you will use quite often over the duration of this course and others to make charts or do calculations or present your work. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is just walking through each one of these tasks. So we start with task 1, which is open the spreadsheet application. Now this is Microsoft Excel 2016. There are some differences to earlier versions of Microsoft Excel, which is the reason I put this video together. Okay, so the most important thing when you're doing this is to just go through it one by one. So then one task by task. So the next task is task 2 and it asks us to save this. So we're going to save as. I'm just going to save it on my memory stick. I'm going to save it as my name. Accounts. You can see that there's an earlier version there, but I'm just going to replace that. Okay, so that's how we know it's saved. And you're much less likely to use your work if you save it at the start. Okay, so the name pops up there. So accuracy is the most important thing here in Excel. At this stage, putting the right numbers or right text into the right cells. The way we identify these cells, that's what these boxes are called, is by shading. So that's C2. That's E8. So don't really just go by the shading and you'll never make a mistake. So in column A, we have company receipts. Followed by period. I'm just using the up and down arrows. I find that quite useful rather than the mouse to navigate the page in Excel. Heating, maintenance, US, and total. Now I generally check for typos as I go. I think I'm less likely to make mistakes if I do so. Starting in B2, we have January, followed by, now I'm back to the arrows, 200, 300, 120, and 300. February. Back to the arrows again, 210, 220, 140, 380. March, 150, 200, 160, 310. Okay, and average just here beside March. Okay, now I'm just going to check that this is accurate. Just the numbers to start: 200, 300, 120, 300, 210, 220, 140, 380, 150, 200, 160, 310. And that's it so far. Okay, select row 2 and italicize all the cell contents. So select the row. Now I, for whatever reason, often mistake rows and columns. Columns are down, rows are across. It's just simple to mistake these. Columns down, rows across. So 2, just left click. You can see that it's selected. Italicized, just like in Microsoft Word. That one's fairly simple. Then widen column A as appropriate so that enter data is fully visible. You'll always have to do this because it's unlikely that the text that you'll be working with will fit in these little boxes. So again, left click, pull. So you're pulling the border here. So you're just widening the cells a little bit. Okay, so we've done that. That all the text is is quite visible there. Okay, delete the columns of cells C5 and enter 1, 2, 3 as the new figure. Where is C5? There. And we know we're on the correct cell because the shading on the labels is changed. So you can see C5 is that little bit darker. Okay, so we want to change this to 1, 2, 3. It's okay. Now we're moving on to do a little bit of formula work. Now, formulas you'll use quite a lot in Excel to calculate sums. Now there are a couple of ways to do it. I'm going to show you both ways, the sort of manual way and the shortcut way. The reason I'm doing that is oftentimes in the real world when you're using Excel, you're going to have formulas that have multiple parts. So you have to add something, then when you've added it, multiply it or turn it into percentage or whatever it may be. And in order to be able to do multiple part formulas, you need to be able to do it manually. So to do that, it's straightforward and easy. In any case, we start off with equals. That's similar for every formula. It's always equals, and that tells the software that you're starting to work with formulas. So then you tell it what it wants to do. So in this case, we want to add numbers, so it's sum. You can see how it prompts you there. And then we go to parentheses. Now these are the brackets above the numbers. So you hold the shift key down and it's the brackets above number 9 and 0. Sum. Now we're selecting the numbers that we want to work with. So left click and pull. You can see that it's automatic. It puts a little blue box around it. Then I close the brackets by shift and bracket. And then that's done. You see it comes up 920. Okay, so the shortcut way of doing that is obviously I'll just give you an example. You can highlight, left click all these numbers, come here to auto sum. You can do all these sums. So say sum there gives you, it's 820. You end up with the exact same formula really. You know, it's just can be a shortcut if you're doing formulas, but for only formulas that have just one task. So I'm going to just get rid of that. Okay, so that's here, this box here, if you're doing just formulas that have just one part formulas. That is task 6 corrected or completed. Task 7 is add the correct formula in cell E3 to calculate the average of cell range BT3 to D3. Now in my previous video I ended up calculating the average of these cells. Don't ask me why, but that's what I did, and and I've completed this particular task numerous times. So it's a lesson in how simple it is to make silly mistakes in this. So just make sure that you are working. Don't follow do as I do rather than what I say. Just work on the right cells. Okay, so B3 to D3. B3 to D3. So we go here, equals to average, and then the brackets we know is above 9. Then we're just going to select, pull them across. Now you can obviously just type those things in manually. You'd be typing in 200 colon, or sorry, you'd be typing in B3 colon D3. But why bother? And then we just close brackets, and you can see how I'm doing it up on top there. And I've calculated the average of that. Now if you're unsure of things and you want to be 100% sure at this stage, because you're dealing with just a few small numbers, you can do this by hand. Okay, just using a calculator or your head. Okay, now we want to replicate formulas. So what we want to do is replicate the formula that's in here, not the 920. If we use the 920, we just pull this across, and you can see the difference with the cross. But we want to replicate the formula, and to do that we need to move the mouse to here. Now a little bit of practice with the mouse if you're new to Excel is useful. The same as with Word, because a little bit of muscle memory will build in quickly enough, and you'll just get comfortable using the mouse and getting it to do and getting it to roll the way you want it to roll. So we come here and we see this cross appears. Then we left click, just pull it across. Okay, and what it's done is it's replicated the formula, not what's in the cell. It's replicated the formula. Okay, so we do the similar thing here for task 9, which is E4, E5, E6. So we just want to replicate this formula. So we come down here. Again, I'm left clicking, and it's here to, which is it? E5 and E6. So E6, and there you go. Okay, so that's completed. Now task 10 asks us to add a border around the whole table in between each column for cells A2 to A3, C7. This is sort of always recommended, particularly if you're going printing. If you printed this now, you just get a white page with numbers. There'd be no borders. These grey borders wouldn't print. So we select it, left click, and it asks us to add a border on the whole table and between each column from cells A2 to E7. So it's A2, not A1. A2 to E7. If you do A1, you'll lose a few marks for accuracy. Okay, so what we've done is we have selected it, left click and hold, and we've come here, which puts a border around this, all borders. That's probably the one you'll most commonly use, particularly if you're going printing tables and that. You really will have to have the borders, or they'll be very hard to follow. Okay, and remember, you won't always be working with just 8, 9, 10 numbers. Okay, so that's task 10. Now it asks us to select column A, again column A, and align the cell contents to the right. This is quite similar to Microsoft Word. So we select it, we come up here, align right. And there's 4 more marks for that. Now it asks us to format all figures in the spreadsheet to 2 decimal places. You see, this number is painful. So oftentimes you're going to want to format numbers. So it says to format all numbers. So there we can see all numbers are covered. And basically it wants us to present 2 numbers, 2 points after the decimal point. 2 numbers after the decimal point. So all we do is we select it, as I've just done, left click, go down to format cells. I've right click and go down to format cells. So I'll just do that again from scratch. Select all the numbers with my left button on the mouse and cover and pull. Then right click, format cells. And you can see all the numbers here to format those cells: alignment, fill, border. You can see, and again, like all these things, a lot of these things are repeated and they're available in multiple places on the software, not just the one place. But this is how I choose to do it. So we go to number. The default option is 2. What happens when I go to 3? It gives you, it will give you 3. But the number one, the default number of places is 2. So we just keep it at 2 and click OK. Now you can see that it has formatted all numbers to 2 decimal points. And it didn't ask us to just format these ones. It asked us to format all numbers. That's number 12 completed. Number 13 is change the font color in row 7 to blue and in row 6 to green and make them bold. At this stage now you're looking at these numbers for quite a little bit of time, and it's easy enough to get, confused, or just you're looking at them a while, you're kind of, it's just easy enough to sort of make mistakes when the longer you've done it. So just take a little bit of a breather and just look at it with a slightly fresh set of eyes so that you don't make any mistakes. Change the font color in row 7 to blue. We select it. This should be easy for you if you've done Microsoft Word. We go to blue. This one here in row 6 is green. Now it's very, very easy to have this green and this blue, but you lose at least 2 marks if you make a mistake like that. And it's just so easy to do. Now, we obviously want to change this to make them bold. So you can see what I've just done there. I've pulled the mouse down over the 2. So I've selected 2 rows and I've turned them into bold. And that's fairly straightforward. Okay, it's just a case of being accurate. Task 14. Type your name as a footer in the bottom left hand corner of the spreadsheet. Similar to Microsoft Word. Insert header and footer. We're not interested in the header, so we're going to the footer. We're not interested there because it's in the middle. So we just click on this box and we type our name as a footer. And that's done. And we just come out of it and click, and we're done. Very, very similar to Microsoft Word if you've done it. Now, I should have been hitting save regularly as I go, and that's something you should be doing every 5 minutes, say. Now it asks us to open Workshop 2 within Accounts and add the following text: company in cell C5. So you can see that this is slightly different if you used earlier versions, but you get to the same destination. Okay, so just click on New Sheet. Go to cell C5. What does it ask us to do in cell C5? It asks us to add the following text: company. Is it in the right place? Yes, it is, C5. Then it asks us to copy the receipt table. So we're going back to sheet 1. We're copying the receipt table, including the heading. So now we're A1 to E7. So A1 to E7, left click and pull. We're going up to copy. And we're copying this, we're pasting it starting at cell C8. So that's C8. And paste. We're selecting the first one, and that's it. Now you can see that the widths and that don't automatically transfer from page to page. So you're going to, I imagine in future versions of Excel that will be the case. But for now, you have to change these manually, which is the next thing it asks you to do in task 17, widen the columns as necessary. So, are we in B or are we in C? We know we're in C. Because if you look in B here, nothing. And we know that we put it into C. So it's similar to before. We just select it and widen. A little bit more. Perfect. Okay. So that's what your page should look like at this stage. Now it asks us to change the name of the worksheet tab to backup. So I'm coming down to the sheet name, and this is something you'll do if you have multiple sheets in one file. So you'll just right click, go up to rename, and what does it ask us to call it? We call it backup. Okay, that's done. Okay, so that is task 18. Now we're moving on to task 19, and the remaining tasks, there's only 3 or 4, but they're very important because they ask us to work with charts. So it asks us to create, using the backup worksheet, create a column chart using data range C9 to F13. So C9 is here, F13 is here. So it's important to just be very accurate in what you're doing. So what you do is you make sure, first of all, you select the correct data range, and the correct data range again. Now this is task 19 is C9 to F13. So I'm left clicking and pulling the mouse over, and that data is the data I'm going to want to turn into a chart. So to insert a chart, I just go to Insert. Again, this is PowerPoint 2016, so it's slightly different. So here, everything to do with chart. You can see what I've done. I've just asked it to insert something, and you can see it brings up all the charts section here. So you come and you find the correct one. All sorts of versions of charts, but we're just going to use the basic one here, which is this one. And we have produced a chart that quickly. We can check that it's accurate. How do you check that it's accurate? Well, just for example, electricity. We know how much electricity did they use. 200 euros worth in January. January's blue, 200 euros worth. 150 in March, 150 in March. Now, when you start working with charts further on, you'll have so many options. You know, but it's just some of it will be preference, some of it will be style. What I'd say to you is, if you're putting in a load of charts into assignment, just try to stick to the same format. It's easier for whoever's looking at it to correct it. And the same is true of presentations. So don't be jumping between pie charts and bar charts. This is now just talking assignments down the road. Okay, so what we want to do, what's our next task? We're nearly there now. Type expenditure for the title of the chart. So what do we want to do? We know we're talking, you can see here, they're the basic functions for an Excel sheet, but we're working on a chart. Now watch what happens here when I click here. See, it brings up all the chart options. And that's true, you'll see that a lot, we'll say for pictures and images and that you'll be working on in Microsoft Word, Excel. When you move on to the item, it gives you different options. So here it knows you want to do something with the chart. So here we want to add a title, and in this version of Microsoft PowerPoint, add chart element, chart title, above chart. Again, it's slightly different than earlier versions. Okay, so the name of this chart is expenditure. Whoa, what am I doing? Okay. So chart title, make sure I'm actually in the title. And there you go. Now supposing you submitted that, you would lose maybe 1 mark for that question type 19. So just make sure that it's accurate. Okay. Now that's task 20. Task 21 is modify the bar colors in the column chart to red, yellow and blue. Easy enough. So we select it and it automatically picks up that you want to do something with each you know, electricity or heating for, you want to do something with January. With the January data, and you want to change the January data to blue, what is it? Red, yellow and blue. Okay, so I've selected it, right click, format data series, come up here to this little bucket, which is always to do with filling lines or colouring things in. Go down to fill, go down to colour, and it's red. I think, yes, red. Okay, so that's that one done. Now the next one is blue. Now I'm just going to close it so we can see exactly how we do it again. We go click on the one of the range. Now it doesn't matter if you click on the middle one, it'll pick it all up. Okay, so we want to change this to yellow. Format data series, and what I've just done there now is I've right clicked and I've gone down to format data series. I've come over here to this. I've gone down to color, red, yellow. That's that one done, and finally the last one is blue. It is blue, yes, blue. Right click, format data series, color, blue, and that's that done. That's my chart, red, yellow and blue. Now we're almost there. Copy the expenditure chart from the company worksheet into worksheet 1. So to copy this, Similar to if you're copying, you first of all select it, and you know if it's selected because the little dots here on the border appear. Selected it. We have, does it ask us to move it? No, it asks us to copy it, put it into the sheet, and paste. Now, does that make sense? No. So what we want to do now is just move this so we can actually see what is on the page. So to move it, you just left click and pull down. And that's it. Now you will be moving pictures and images and things and charts and tables. So just to get familiar with doing that, what you do is when you see this little cross, if you left click it, you can move it all over the place. Okay, finally, we are on task 23, almost finally, which is change this chart to a bar chart. So we want to do something with the chart. So what we do again is we click on the chart and it brings up the options. And here we have change chart type. Remember, this is 2016. It's a little bit, could be a little bit different to what you're looking at. So change chart type. Down to bar, you can see all the different options. You can come down here to bar because that's what it asks you to do, and you turn it to bar. We'll just give it the basic first one. Click OK. And there you go. You can see that there's a whole load of, different charts, 3D stuff. I'd say more often than not, keep this sort of stuff simple. Don't get, when you're doing assignments, don't get too caught up in making things too, for want of a better word, too jazzy. Okay, so that's it. We have completed tasks 1 to 23, and finally the very last thing, I'm going to close that down, is just to save it again. Now you know that you've it saved, and then to upload it correctly onto the website. So what I would recommend you do when you have completed this task is just go to the assignment marking sheets and just check them off one by one as you go, just so that you don't throw away a few handy percentages. Okay, so hope that was useful, and best of luck with that.